Que pasa YouTube, SixftHax here, happy for you guys. Today the team builder for week number 8 of GBA D League Season 3, where your Durham Druddigons will be taking on the newly introduced Carolina Pantherians, I think, if I'm not mistaken, coached by TECHNOSTRIKE. Now, originally we should have been playing its Turbo and his Midnight Lichen Rocks, I think I want to say was the team name that it's Turbo. It was a team that he coached. Unfortunately, he just got really busy with IRL stuff, real life stuff, and he wasn't able to commit to the rest of the season. So we were able to find a replacement, and lucky old me gets to play them week 1. And I've heard a lot of very scary things about TECHNOSTRIKE. This man is apparently a very, very good battler. He did actually win the previous NPL minors, if I'm not mistaken, where funny enough he ended up beating its Turbo in the finals. So I'm very nervous for this match. I really don't want to lose, but at the same time, if we do lose, it's not going to be the worst thing ever. If we do lose, I think we drop to like number 3 or number 4 overall. However, though, if we do manage to win, we can continue our number 1 spot, and if we win out the rest of the season, we'll end up number 1 overall and get the bye week for the first week of playoffs. So hopefully we can win. We will have to see how things go. So shouts out to the few front office homies that were able to help me build for this week. Of course, if you guys are excited for this, make sure to hammer arm that thumbs up button down below. Let me know in the comment section, what are the 6 mons that you would have brought to this matchup if you were me prepping for our opponent. So first and foremost, I don't really know how well Techno plays. Now, as I mentioned, a lot of people told me that he's really good. He's a very good player and very good prepper, and that knowledge only goes so far. So going into this matchup, I'm very nervous because I don't necessarily know anything about Techno. I don't know if he's going to try and go all out. I know that he did make some changes to his draft, but they're going to be taking effect either week 9 or week 10, if I'm not mistaken. So right now he does still have Turbo's regular squad, which is nice, so we can still prep for that. However, though, the prepping might have to change depending on how things go and how Techno actually preps himself, because there's a good chance he doesn't prep the same way as Turbo did. So that's kind of something that has me a little bit worried. However, though, looking at the team matchup below me, the reason why this is on Showdown is because we have to play on Showdown. I don't think he's got access to Wi-Fi currently, so we have to play on Showdown, so I do apologize about that. But this should be the only match done on Showdown, so that's going to be good. Regardless, though, we do have to play on Showdown, so that's why I'm going to be doing the team builder on Showdown. And looking at his team, he has some very, very scary threats. The main things I'm worried about are Tapu Bulu, Azumarill, and Emboar. Now, I'm not really too sure if he is going to want to bring all 3 of those, honestly, because Emboar and Azumarill are both really slow. They kind of almost do the same thing. They are able to break and hit extremely hard with choice bands or life orbs potentially, and they both could technically be assault vests. Like assault vest Emboar kind of makes a little bit of sense for our Magearna, considering that he doesn't necessarily have the best answer to Magearna in general. Like, look at his team, look at Magearna. There's not really anything he has to stop it with the proper coverage, which is amazing. However, though, Assault Vest Emboar could prove to be a little bit of a nuisance, but those 3 mons are what I'm mainly worried about. Kieran Black could also prove to be a terrifying mon, depending on what kind of set he wants to run. A Lowland Persian just seems very, very annoying for us going into this matchup, being able to parting shot, spam knockoff, and just gain him some type of momentum and potential setup opportunities. Mega Aerodactyl, as many of you should know by now, Mega Aerodactyl is my all-time favorite Mega in a Draft League format. So I do fully expect that, because he does outspeed my entire draft. Nidoking has a decent-ish matchup in this game, depending on what set he exactly wants to run. Like Modest, Life Orb, Sheer Force, Shadow Ball, I think does have a chance to 2 KO non-Spadef, Bulky, Cresselia, which is very scary, actually. And then he's got Claydol and Masquerain, which, because we're not playing Turbo, a part of me really does not expect Claydol whatsoever. However, though, he could potentially bring Masquerain for the webs, and that in itself could be a little bit of a problem. And then Raichu, I honestly don't expect Raichu, mainly because of Nidoqueen, although at the same time it is one of his Z-Mons with Kieran Black. It could maybe run like Z Surf, so that's something I will have to watch out for if he does want to bring Raichu. So with that out the way, let's go ahead and look at our first team member going into this match. We have good old Shinsuke, aka Mega Medicham. Look at Mega Medicham, guys. Look at his draft. All I see is 11 death fodders and a Masquerain that most likely isn't going to come, but if it does come, we can get up Stealth Rocks, and that's 50% HP that it's losing. But besides Masquerain, High Jump Kick and Poison Jab honestly just does so much ridiculous damage to his team. Like, even though Clado is a Psychic type and Nidoking is a Poison type, they are both nearly 2 KO'd by High Jump Kick depending on what EV spread they are running, and that in itself is insane because Mega Medicham can legitimately just come in, click High Jump Kick, and something is going to drop. Mega Medicham is going to be very, very important going into this match because of just how amazing of a breaker it really is. Also, between Fake Out and Bullet Punch, we have some nice priority to be able to pick things off, like maybe Scarf Kyurem, Mega Aerodactyl. We can pick off Scarf Bulu, Raichu, Scarf Nidoking. Maybe we out prioritize Azumarill twice in the best scenario, so that's really good in itself. Maybe like a Scarf Emboar potentially, but all in all, I really think Mega Medicham is just going to put in so much work in this game. Poison Jab was chosen over something like Ice Punch mainly for the Bulu and the Azumarill. I really want to be able to hit those two for super effective damage and ensure that they're not able to potentially try and set up, or if they do get a KO, I can bring in Mega Medicham and force them out and eventually put them in a position of where I can then just Poison Jab them and get rid of them essentially. So really hoping Mega Medicham puts in a lot of work here. Like, he really has no good answer to this set whatsoever. Like, I don't really know what he would want to bring for this monster, honestly. I guess maybe like a Shucka Berry, Fizz Def, Alolan Persian, maybe. I really don't know. Like, Mega Medicham just destroys him essentially, and that's really, really good because Mega Medicham can open up holes for Magearna here to be able to come in, Trick Room late game, and potentially sweep. The great thing about Trick Room Magearna on this team is that if he does want to bring Sticky Webs, we can take advantage of those Sticky Webs. If for some reason I'm not able to get rid of the webs, then I can set up Trick Room, and something like my Mega Medicham is going to be slower than the rest of his team because of Sticky Webs. So then in Trick Room, I'm faster than everything because of Sticky Webs, and that in itself I think is really, really going to be a huge help to us going into this match. If he does want to bring webs, even if he doesn't bring webs, this is still a Magearna. Magearna comes in, sets up Trick Room, gets a kill, and then goes to town. This is very similar to the EV spread that I believe I brought against CJ last week. However, though, we just have a little bit more special attack and slightly less physical defensive bulk, because the extra special attack ensures that Shadow Ball, Flash Cannon, and Dazzling Gleam should be able to 2-KO just about everything after we set up a Trick Room and get up a special attack boost because of our Soul Heart. And that is going to be great because even if Magearna is not able to sweep potentially late game, it can still come in, wear his team down, weaken his walls, so then Mega Medicham and potentially the rest of our team can come in and take advantage of that. So between our Dual Stab and Shadow Ball, we hit absolutely everything. Now, because Shadow Ball is our best move to hit Jirachi, I almost 100% expect him to be the Ghost Weakening Berry, which I believe is the Casaberry. I want to say it's the Casaberry, which halves the damage of super effective ghost type moves. So if we're able to pop that with one of our other mons, which you guys will see in a minute here, then that's going to be amazing, because then at that point, once Magearna gets up to a +1 special attack, it doesn't even matter that Jirachi may be like specially defensive, which I fully expect a specially defensive variant of Jirachi, maybe with like Wish, Rocks, Thunder Wave, Body Slam, Iron Head, something along those lines, just because it does deal with some of our especially offensive mons like Cresselia, Whimsicott, and of course mainly Magearna, as well as potentially our Rotom Frost in the back that we could maybe bring to this game. So I do expect Spadef, Bulky, Jirachi, but if we're able to pop the berry and we can gain a +1 in our special attacks, that Magearna will be able to hopefully beat that 1v1 and then just kind of go to town on the rest of his team. Flash Cannon and Dazzling Gleam legitimately just hit everything for neutral or super effective damage. We didn't need moves like Thunderbolt or Ice Beam, I think, honestly, just because again these 3 moves are so good in itself that they hit everything, and then with the special attack boost it just makes them even more deadly to our opponent. And the last thing about this set that this is like the one thing about the set, the last thing, as I mentioned. I'm not sure if I want to have Citrus Berry or Ayapapa Berry, maybe even like Aka Berry could be really nice, because Emboar is very, very scary, and at full HP, Magearna can tank a Flare Blitz if we're Aka Berry. If we're Shucka Berry, that's going to be really good for like Earth Power Kyurem, potentially Earthquake, Mega Aerodactyl, Earth Power Nidoking, I guess Earthquake Claydol for some reason. I really don't think he's going to bring Claydol. Like Claydol, it's a Claydol. I don't really know what Claydol does. So, yeah, it just kind of dies, I'm pretty sure. But I really want to switch this to Ayapapa Berry. The thing, though, is that because of this bulk investment, there's not really any move on his team that should be able to put us below 25% for something like the Ayapapa Berry to pop. However, though, he does have moves on his team that could put us below 50%, and that in itself pops Citrus Berry. So that's why I kind of feel like Citrus Berry might be just a little bit better than Ayapapa Berry in this matchup, because if he thinks he can guarantee 2 KO us and puts us below like 50%, then we get the Citrus Berry and then he can't 2 KO us. As where if we had the Ayapapa Berry, he puts us below 50% and then he can just knock us out with that second hit. So that's why I kind of like Citrus Berry a little bit more than the Ayapapa Berry, but I'm still just kind of a little 50-50 on it, just really up in the air. We'll see how things go when the actual match does come. And moving on down the line here, we have Zy Dillinger, aka Choice Scarf Zydog at 10%. Finally, it's been so long since I brought Zygarde 10%, and this time around it is going to be Choice Scarf. Now, the cool thing about Scarf Zydog in this game is that we outspeed absolutely everything that he could maybe want to bring, unless for some reason he brings a plus speed natured Kyurem Black with Scarf, or like a Scarf Jirachi. Like, besides those two, I'm pretty sure, well, actually, yeah, right, yeah, besides those two, like, we outspeed legitimately anything and everything that he could maybe want to bring Scarf. And the cool thing about Zydog in this game is that once we get rid of Bulu, we just click 1,000 arrows for free. With an Adamant Nature and max attack, we have a really good chance to 2 KO everything that is not Bulu and that is not a Masquerain, which Masquerain loses 50% of its HP to Stealth Rocks, which if he wants to bring Sticky Webs, he may not even have Defog. So then we can try to get up Rocks, and then that way we deal with Masquerain. And then once we get rid of the Bulu, which we have Sludge Wave, the cool thing about Sludge Wave on the set is that if he is Assault Vest Bulu after just a little bit of chip damage with Stealth Rocks damage, we can actually 2 KO him on the switch in with Sludge Wave, or if he's not Assault Vest, Sludge Wave 2 KOs regardless, and that is going to be amazing because again, once Bulu drops, Zydog comes in, clicks arrows, and things just drop. He doesn't necessarily really have a safe switch into this set whatsoever, and I'm hoping that this alongside Shinsuke, sorry, yeah, well, Shinsuke Nakamura, same thing. Our Mega Medicham, this along with Mega Medicham will be able to kind of just break his team down and hopefully allow Magearna to come in, set up, and potentially sweep late game. If not, then this in itself can come in late game and sweep. And we have Outrage there, really only for Kyurem Black, because 1,000 Arrows is not going to be strong enough to come anywhere near close to OHKOing Kyurem Black. So we have Outrage, and then that way we can potentially ensure a KO after the Stealth Rocks, depending on his bulk investment and if he's got a Habam Berry or not. And then Extreme Speed along with a Fake Out and Bullet Punch should be able to help us deal with something like Belly Drum Azumarill or just Choice Banded Aqua Jet Azumarill in general. So I'm really hoping this Zydog set puts in work. I'm hoping that it does catch his team off guard and maybe we can pick up a surprise KO with this as well. So moving on to the next team member here, we have good old Ember Moon, aka Cresselia, making her return as always. This time around she is going to be more of a very bulky, fat pivot mon, because Cresselia kind of has a lot of pressure on it in this match. I need this to switch into things like potentially Azumarill, Emboar, Nidoking, Raichu, Mega Aerodactyl, even Kiram Black, and potentially even just Bulu in general. Like, there's so much pressure on Cresselia in this game, and I really kind of wanted to put Citrus Berry because, in a sense, Cresselia is kind of in the same boat as Magearna, where he's got a lot of mons. With the right sets, he could potentially 2-way KO Cresselia, but Citrus Berry would put us in a scenario of where he may not be able to 2-way KO us, and then we can take advantage of that and maybe go for an offensive move or try to moonlight off the damage. And the great thing about Cresselia as well is that because of this thing's massively high HP stat, something like Embor with Flare Blitz and Bulu with Woodhammer, they're going to be taking so much recoil damage, and that's something that we can use into our advantage. And then in return, once those mons are weakened enough, something like Zydog can come in to revenge them, something like Mega Medicham with its double priority can revenge them as well. So I'm hoping that Cresselia can kind of just pivot around in this game and just wear his team down. Icy Wind is really nice for some type of speed control. I originally would have gone with Thunder Wave, but the thing with Thunder Wave is that we don't hit Nidoking with Thunder Wave, and that could be a little bit of an issue if he does have a potential Sticky Web offensive draft where Nidoking comes in after webs, and then he could be faster than the rest of our squad depending on his EV investment, and if we lose Zydog, because Zydog should outspeed a timid Nidoking after webs. But if we lose Zydog and we need some type of speed control, then we have Icy Wind to come in and kind of help us out there. Psychic, Moonblast, and Icy Wind honestly just kind of hit everything on his draft. There was not really anything I could have dropped here. I really feel like Moonlight 3 attacks Cresselia is probably the best Cresselia set that we could have brought to this game. So I'm hoping this can pivot in a lot, as I mentioned, and just kind of be a giant nuisance to his team in general. So moving on down the line here, we have good old Miltank, which is going to be our main Bulu answer. Now, in a sense, this can't... I don't know, it really depends, like... Depending on what Bulu set he has exactly, I should say. This set could potentially beat it 1v1. Now, I definitely think he has no reason to not bring superpower on the Bulu. Like, like Woodhammer, superpower, Mega Horn or Horn Leech potentially, and maybe, what's it called, Zen Headbutt. Those 4 moves hit everything and anything that we could potentially want to bring. So depending on if he's like Scarfed or Bandit or Sword Zance, Miltank could possibly beat Bulu 1v1. But the issue is that I need to find out what kind of set the Bulu is before I can effectively deal with it. And at the same time, Miltank is our best switch into Bulu in the grassy terrain because of Zap Zipper being able to nullify his Woodhammer. So that nullifies his hardest hitting move, so he needs to rely on his super effective coverage move for Miltank, which is going to be superpower, and that is where Chople Berry comes in handy. Now, we are running enough speed to speed tie with Jolly Max Speed Bulu, but because of speed tiers, I really don't think, for one, he's going to bring Jolly Max Speed, and 2, I don't think he's also going to bring Adamant Bulu, because if he brings Adamant Bulu, that means he's outsped by Magearna. If anything, the benchmark that he's going to want to hit is enough speed to outspeed Magearna. That way his mons are not sped by Magearna and they're not setup fodder for Magearna. So it makes sense for him to not run Jolly Max Speed on Bulu for this matchup, in my opinion. So if he's not Scarf, we can hopefully outspeed him, hit him up with a Body Slam after he's at -1 defense, and maybe try and beat it 1v1. This is also our Stealth Rocker, and Stealth Rocks in this match could be very, very nice if he doesn't bring hazard removal and just getting off that chip damage in general for Mega Medicham, Zydog, and our Magearna in the back. So moving on to the final team member here, we have Whimsicott, aka Naomi, and this is actually a pretty cool set. Making her debut finally is going to be Whimsicott, and this time around she is rocking a nice Life Orb offensive set. Much like Magearna, these 3 moves alone hit absolutely everything and anything on our opponent's draft for neutral or super effective damage. The only thing that Whimsicott does not outspeed is Mega Aerodactyl. However, though, we do have Cresselia and we do have Miltank to try to pivot into Mega Aerodactyl and deal with that thing accordingly if those scenarios do come up. But besides that, we outspeed everything that is not Scarfed, and that in itself could be absolutely amazing because Whimsicott honestly does hit his squad very, very hard. Even Spadef, Bulky, Jirachi I think takes like 30 almost 40-ish% depending on how much Death Bolt he's going to really want to run on Jirachi. So if we're able to get rid of Jirachi, this thing just comes in, and between Energy Ball and Moonblast, everything is 2-hit KO'd on our opponent's draft. So Shadow Ball legitimately is only there for the Jirachi. However, at the same time, if Jirachi is the Ghost Weakening Berry, and because Jirachi is normally a good switch into Whimsicott, if we can pop that berry on Jirachi, that opens up Magearna to come in late game and have a easier time beating Jirachi, because we also have Shadow Ball on Magearna. So I'm really hoping that if anything, this thing can pop the berry on the Jirachi, maybe weaken a thing or two, and then that way Magearna comes in late game and it could potentially sweep. Defog is really only there if he does have sticky webs. I'm hoping he doesn't bring them. If anything, I would really like to have Psychic as a 4th move, maybe even like Encore, Tailwind, maybe Stun Spore. All of those moves would have been really good as a final option here over Defog. Psychic would have actually been really good, because that way we hit the Embor and we hit the Nidoking for super effective damage. But it's fine, like Energy Ball and Moonblast still do more than enough, so I'm really not too worried about it. But if we were able to fit another move on there, it probably would be one of those Psychic or Stun Spore or potentially Encore, maybe even Tailwind actually. Yeah, maybe for Mega Medicham if anything. But yeah guys, that is going to be our squad for this week. I'm really nervous. Like, I've never played Techno. I don't know how he plays. I've heard he's really good, and that kind of gives me the jitters. Hopefully we can win. If we win, we will continue our reign on top of the D-League for this season, and hopefully we can stay #1. But if we do drop, then we're still in a really good spot to make playoffs, but we just may not get that bye week. Regardless though, if you guys did enjoy, hammer arm that thumbs up button down below. Make sure to check out the battle going up tomorrow, and with that being said, I will see you all later. So later everybody.
No matter where you're at, I'm not here to make friends, it's time to attack and deplete your HP with a final smash. Don't make me turn around and pull a 6-foot-Hax. 6-foot-Hax, Hax. Yeah. 6-foot-Hax, Hax. Yeah. 6-foot-Hax, Hax.